SLT Mobitel, the connection. SLT Mobitel, the connection.
ලෙන්ගතුකම වැඩි කරගන්න ලව්ජු රුපියල් 50ට අඩු කළා.
මාමේ එන්න අපිට එකක් බොමු.
Not the right time. The Department of Examinations scraps plans to hold 2 key exams in August. Relaxing quarantine. Guidelines issued for short-term foreign visits. What he said. The CID team appointed to investigate Azad Saleh's controversial remarks. All that and much more coming up on First at 9. This Sunday, the 14th of March, 2021.
ඇල්කොහොල් අඩංගු hand sanitizer භාවිත කරන්න. ලෙඩ රෝග ඇති කරන විෂ බීජවලට එරෙහිව සටන් කරන්න. හඳුන්වා දීමේ මිල රුපියල් 350යි.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhammika Ekanayak. Now, India's Minister of External Affairs, Dr. Subramaniam Jaishankar, believes that the so-called issue of the Tamil people in Sri Lanka should not be a preamble to elections, only to be forgotten the day after. Speaking at a forum today, Dr. Jaishankar also claimed that PM Narendra Modi and his BJP government have been clear, firm and principled on the issue. As for how the East Container Terminal deal reversal unfolded, the India External Affairs Minister insists that Sri Lanka pulling out of the deal should not be read as a strategic signalling. His comments come as the ruling BJP seeks to advance in the Tamil Nadu polls, which are set to be worked off from the 6th of next month, with the Indian government's commitment to ensure that the 13th Amendment to the Constitution in Sri Lanka is fully enforced in the island, being a key factor in the polls. Now, all schools in the country will reopen tomorrow following the completion of the GCE ordinary level examinations on Wednesday. However, only selected grades 5, 11 and 13 will resume academic activities in Western Province schools tomorrow, with the other grades having to wait until the 19th of next month. Meanwhile, the Department of Examinations announced today that it has scrapped plans to hold the Grade 5 scholarship examination and the GCE advanced level examination in the month of August.
The schools located outside the Western Province reopened on the 11th of January this year under strict adherence to health and safety protocols. However, the schools within the Western Province were only allowed to reopen for students sitting for the GCE ordinary level examination in March. Accordingly, students at Western Province schools who sit for the ordinary level examination in March returned to academic activities on the 25th of January. A month later, on the 25th of February, all schools in the island were given holidays in view of the GCE ordinary level examinations starting on the 1st of March. With that being the case, schools in the country will reopen once again tomorrow after the successful completion of the ordinary level examinations last Wednesday. However, in the Western Province, only the grades 5, 11 and 13 will return to school tomorrow. The rest of the grades in the Western Province schools will have to wait until the 19th of April to return to academic activities.
අධ්‍යාපන අමාත්‍යාංශය හැටියට අපි පැහැදිලි නිර්දේශයක් දුන්නා සෞඛ්‍ය අමාත්‍යාංශයට අපි සූදානම්. එතුමා උපදෙස් දුන්නා මාර්තු 15 බස්නාහිර පළාතේ දිස්ත්‍රික්ක තුනේම 5 11 13 ශ්‍රේණි පමණක් පටන් ගන්න. දැනට ඊට පස්සේ සිංහල දමිළ අවුරුද්දෙන් පස්සේ සෙසු ශ්‍රේණි වල පන්ති ආරම්භ කරන්න. ඒකට අපි සඳුදා අප්‍රේල් 19 මුළු රටේම සියලුම පන්ති සියලුම ශ්‍රේණි ඒවා පැහැදිලිව අපි ආරම්භ කරනවා.
In the meantime, the Department of Examinations has decided to scrap the plan to hold the Grade 5 scholarship examination and the advanced level examinations in the month of August. Commissioner General of the Department of Examinations, Sanat Pujitha, said that the distribution of academic activities due to the COVID-19 pandemic is the reason for the move. In the meantime, the Ceylon Teachers Union requested the government to provide COVID-19 inoculation to teachers. They also want the government to ensure that students are familiarized with the school environment before the second term begins.
Sri Lanka's best health insurance with the fastest claim settlement. Soft Logic Life.
Pay just 500,000 rupees to reserve your unit today. Mulberry Residence.
Now, the Ministry of Health has issued guidelines that should be adhered to by Sri Lankans and foreigners residing in Sri Lanka while undertaking foreign visits under a biosafety travel bubble. The move is part of an attempt to relax quarantine regulations for those undertaking state and business visits overseas. The ministry, however, said that these guidelines will be reviewed in 2 weeks, or it may be subjected to changes based on the COVID-19 situation in the island. In the meantime, Chief of the National Operations Centre for Prevention of COVID-19, Army Commander General Shavindra Silva expects a positive response tomorrow to the request seeking a reduced quarantine period for Sri Lankan expatriates.
The Ministry of Health issued a set of guidelines that should be adhered to by Sri Lankans or foreign nationals residing in Sri Lanka or undertaking state visits, official visits, or business visits under biosafety travel bubble. Accordingly, the travellers should first make their request to the Director General of Health Services at least 2 weeks prior to the date of departure, with their details such as the full name, passport number, address of the residence in Sri Lanka, or the address in Sri Lanka, which they intend to stay at after returning from an overseas visit. Further, the travellers also need to submit the name of the visiting country, address in the foreign country, official letter of invitation from the foreign country, approval letter from the workplace, date of departure, date of arrival, flight details, and the details of their COVID-19 vaccination status, if vaccinated. The guidelines say that it is mandatory that the travellers should travel within a biosafety bubble in accordance with the recommended health and safety protocols. Further, the travellers should inform the arrival details, flight details, and addresses of the approved residents in Sri Lanka to the epidemiology unit via the email chepid@sltnet.lk and samithaji@hotmail.com, as well as the quarantine unit via quarantinelk@gmail.com at least 24 hours before embarkation. Further, the area medical officer of health should also be informed on the first day of arrival in Sri Lanka. What's more, the guidelines also include the criteria applicable upon arrival in Sri Lanka. Accordingly, if the duration between the departure from Sri Lanka and arrival to Sri Lanka is 96 hours or less, travellers should carry a negative COVID-19 PCR result in the English language done within 96 hours of embarkation or antigen test done within 48 hours of embarkation. Further, they should also undergo home quarantine upon arrival in Sri Lanka. After arriving in Sri Lanka, COVID-19 PCR testing should be done between day 5 and 7. If the test result is negative, they will be released from home quarantine on day 7. If the duration between the departure from Sri Lanka and arrival to Sri Lanka is more than 96 hours, those travellers should also follow the same process. However, after arriving in the country, PCR testing should be done on day 1 and between day 5 and 7. They will be released from home quarantine on day 7 if both of the test results are negative. The criteria also says that the PCR testing after arriving in Sri Lanka should be done from a state or private sector laboratory that is approved by the Ministry of Health. The results of the test should be submitted to the emails chepid@sltnet.lk and samithaji@hotmail.com of the epidemiology unit and quarantinelk@gmail.com of the quarantine unit. If the passengers are febrile or display symptoms of COVID-19, they should conduct a PCR test immediately and submit the results to the said emails. While undergoing quarantine at the residence, it is mandatory that the travellers must follow strict health and safety protocols. Further, once their PCR tests return negative, the area health medical officer should be informed for the release from quarantine. What's more, it is a must that the passengers should arrange their own transport method to travel to their residence from the airport. If the driver or other officials travelling in the vehicle display COVID-19 symptoms, PCR tests should be done immediately and the results should be submitted to the said emails of the epidemiology unit and the quarantine unit. Further, if the person travelling under the biosecured bubble has obtained the recommended doses of COVID-19 vaccine completely, he or she will be exempted from quarantine. Lastly, the Ministry of Health added that the guidelines issued will be reviewed in 2 weeks, or it may be subjected to changes based on the COVID-19 infection reporting situation in the country. In the meantime, Chief of the National Operations Centre for the Prevention of COVID-19, Army Commander General Shavindra Silva, says that a positive response is expected tomorrow pertaining to a reduction in the recommended number of days to be spent in quarantine for Sri Lankan expatriates.
අපි ඉල්ලලා තිනොත් ලංකාවට පැමිණෙන විදේශ රටවල් වලින් රැගෙන එන ශ්‍රී ලාංකිකයා හානිකුත් පැමිණෙන ශ්‍රී ලාංකිකයන්ගේ නිරෝධාන කාල සීමාව දින 14න් ඒක දින 7ක් හෝ එයා කාල සාල සීමාවක් මේ හෝටල් වල හෝ නැත්නම් මේ නිරෝධායන කරවන්න නැතුව ඒක අඩු කරන්න කියලා ඒ සමැදිවත් පිළිතුරක් හෙට දිනේදී ලබා දෙන බවට අපිට සහතික කරලා තිබෙනවා. මේ අනුව බොහෝ දුරට දින 14 කාල සීමාව හෝටලේ ඉන්න කාල සීමාව අඩු කිරීමට කටයුතු කරයි කියලා අපි බලා බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. ඉතින් ධනාත්මක පිළිතුරක් ලැබෙයි කියලා අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙමින් සිටිනවා.
In the meantime, Chief of the National Operations Centre for the Prevention of COVID-19, Army Commander General Shavindra Silva, also insists that the island's recent fall in daily caseload of the novel coronavirus is not the result of doctored figures. Speaking today, the Army Commander explained that when the infections reduce, the number of close contacts also go down simultaneously, resulting in low caseloads. He, however, said that high-risk areas continue to be identified with the adoption of scientific methodologies.
There were 314 COVID-19 infections reported in Sri Lanka yesterday. Included in the figure is 281 COVID-19 infections from 24 districts, with the remaining 33 cases being identified as Sri Lankan returnees. The Mathura district topped the list of daily caseload with 45 infections along with 37 and 34 cases reported from Colombo and Gampa respectively. Elsewhere, Kandy reported 23 novel coronavirus infections. Ratnapura confirmed 21 and Kalutara recorded 20 cases.
කොයිඩ් ආසාදිතයන් හමුවන සංඛ්‍යාව අඩු වෙද්දී ඔවුන්ගේ ආශ්‍රිතයන්ගේ සංඛ්‍යාවත් ඒ හා සමානව යම්කිසි අඩුවීමක් වෙනවා. ඊට අමතරව ඒක හමු වුණා හෝ හම්බු නැති වුණත් අපි අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම ඉලක්ක කරගෙන යම් යම් ප්‍රදේශ සහ යම් යම් ස්ථාන ඒ ස්ථාන අපිට කොයිඩ් ආසාදනයක් විය හැකි ස්ථාන කරනවා ලබනවා. කෙසේ වෙතත් ඇත්ත තත්ත්වය ඇවිල්ලා ඔය යම්කිසි ආකාරයක අඩුවීමක් තිබෙනවා නැතුව නෙමෙයි. ඒ වෙන්නේ ඒ යම්කිසි හේතුවක් හින්දා. ඉතින් ඒක විද්‍යානුකූලව කරන ක්‍රමවේදයක් යට
Meanwhile, 282 cases of COVID-19 have been confirmed from the island so far today. In the meantime, Sri Lanka's novel coronavirus-related death toll rose to 526 yesterday, with the confirmation of one fatality. According to the Department of Government Information, the victim was a 48-year-old woman who had died due to acute bronchopneumonia and septicemia. In addition, Chief of the National Operations Centre for the Prevention of COVID-19, Army Commander General Shavindra Silva, said that the remains of 45 COVID-19 deceased have been buried so far in the area of Oddamavadi in Batiklo, and that the whole burial issue is now put to bed.
ලබා දුන්න උපදේශ මේ අනුව ක්‍රියා කරන්න කියලා. ඒ අනුව තමයි අපි නැගිනහිර පළාතේ මඩකලපිය ඔට්ටමාවඩි කියන ප්‍රදේශයේ උස් භූමියක් අපි තෝරගෙන මේ වන විට රටේ යම් යම් ප්‍රදේශවල රඳවාගෙන තිබුණු මෘතදේහ භූම දානය කිරීමට අපි කටයුතු කරන ලැබුවා. පෙරේදා දිනේ අවසාන වෙනකොට ඒ ආකාරයෙන් මලසිරුරු 40ක් භූම දානය කළා තිබුණා. ඊයේ දිනේදී තවත් ඉතිරිව තිබිච්ච මලසිරුරු 5කුත් යුද හමුදාව මේ හා සම්බන්ධ වෙලා මේ භූම දාන කටයුතු කරන ලැබුවා. ඒ කරන ලැබුණා මේ දක්වා මලසිරුරු 45ක් අපි මේ ආකාරයෙන් භූම දාන කළා තිබෙනවා. ඊයේ දිනේ සමහර උසාවි වල ඉල්ලුම් කරලා ඒ වගේ නවත්තගෙන තිබිච්ච මලසිරුරු තිබුණා. ඒවා ඊයේ දිනේදී කරනු ලැබුවා. තව එකක් දෙකක් වගේ ඕනනම් ඉතිරි වෙලා ඇති. ඒකත් බොහෝ දුරට අද හෙට දවස් දෙක තුලදී निराකරණය වුණාන් පස්සේ භූම දානය කටයුතු ඉවර කරනවා. ඊට අමතරව ලංකාවේ ඊට පස්සේ භූම දානය කිරීමට ඉල්ලුම් කරන ලද මලසිරුරු කිසිවක් ලංකාවේ තිබෙන්නේ දියන්නේ නැහැ. භූම දානය කළ ඉවරයි. ඉතින් ඒ ප්‍රශ්නේ මේ වන විට සම්පූර්ණයෙන් निराකරණය කර ගැනීමට අපිට හැකියාව ලැබිලා තිබෙනවා.
Meanwhile, on the vaccination front, at the end of yesterday, a total of 770,408 inoculations had been conducted. In the meantime, the island's total number of COVID-19 recoveries rose to 84,648, with 395 persons being given the all-clear to leave hospitals today. As such, the number of active novel coronavirus cases in Sri Lanka currently stand at 2,707.
We will see you on the other side of this break. Stay with us.
කොරෝනා වෛරසය 99.9% දක්වා විනාශ කිරීමට උපකාරී වන Surf Excel Hygiene Boosters.
Welcome back. This is First at 9. Now, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa believes that the country could plunge into chaos if the gulf between the people and their religion advances. He made these comments while at the Sri Sunandarama Pirivan in Madampe in Putlam today.
ජනතාවට නව පරපුරට ආගමින් ඈත් වෙන්න නොදී ආගම හා පන්සල හා බැඳිලා ඉන්න සමාජයක් ගොඩනැගීම අපේ වගකීමක් වශයෙන් මම දකිනවා. පන්සලෙන් අපි ඈත් වුණොත් වෙන්නේ ඊට වඩා නස්පත්තියක් රටට. දැන් බෞද්ධයන් පන්සලට යන්න නියමයක් නැහැ. ඕන නම් යනවා නැත්නම් නිකයි. හැබැයි ඉරිදට පල්ලියට යන එක අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම සිදු වෙනවා. ඉතින් මම හිතනවා අපි අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම සතියට සැරයක්වත් අඩු ගානේ මාසයකට සැරයක් පොය දවසේ වත් ඒක වෙන් කරගත යුතුයි. සියලුම දරු පිරිසත් එක්ක පන්සල් යන්න. පන්සල හා සමග සම්බන්ධය අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම ඇති කර ගැනීමට පියවර ගැනීම අපේ යුතුකමක් හා වගකීමක් වශයෙන් අපි දකිනවා.
Now, a team led by an assistant superintendent of police has been appointed by the Criminal Investigation Department to investigate the controversial remarks made by leader of the National Unity Alliance, Azad Saleh. Saleh also gave a statement to the Cinema and Garden Police last night.
The comments made by Azad Saleh recently pertaining to Sri Lanka's law stirred controversy. Addressing a media briefing on Tuesday, Saleh said that they will not change even if the Muslim law is amended, adding that their law is for themselves while others can abide by their own laws. He said that if the Muslim community's laws are the Quran, the Hidat and Sharia, they will abide by that and not care for the government's laws. Several factions took it upon themselves to lodge complaints with the Criminal Investigations Department in this regard. Both the Minister of Public Security and the Defence Secretary said that an investigation will be launched into Saleh's remarks. Minister Rear Admiral Sarath Weerasekara said that Saleh will be arrested over his comments and that if the Sharia law is not what he seeks, Saleh should go to Saudi Arabia. Meanwhile, Defence Secretary General Kamal Gunaratnam said that all citizens, including the country's leader, should abide by the country's laws and the government will not allow anyone to implement different laws in the island. With that being the case, Azad Saleh gave a statement at the Cinema and Garden Police last night, and afterwards he said that he did not make any remarks against the country's law.
දැන් අපේ ආගම කියලා කියන්නේ ඒකනේ අපේ පළවෙනි නීතිය. ආගම කියන්නේ කුර්ආන එකයි හදීස් එකයි. සිංහල ජනතාවද බෞද්ධ දර්ශනය. ඒක පිළිපැද්දාම ඇති ඔය රටේ නීතිය මේ කරන්නේ. මේ රටේ නීතිය අපි ගණන් ගන්නෑ කියලා කිව්වද? අපි කිව්වේ ඕගලන්ගේ නීතිය ඕගලන්ට අපේ නීතිය අපිට කියලා කිව්වේ මොකද්ද? ඒක වරද්දලා පටවල අසාත් සාලි මේ රටේ නීතිය ගරු කරන්නේ නැහැ කියලා කිව්වයි කියලා දැන් මේක සම්පූර්ණ බොරුවක් නේ.
The police meanwhile said that an investigation into the comments made by Saleh will be launched by a 5-member team at the Criminal Investigation Department, headed by an assistant superintendent of the police. Police media spokesperson DIG Ajit Rohana said that investigations will be conducted to ascertain whether Saleh's comments had caused friction between races and religions.
Now, the Sri Lanka Embassy in the United States of America has issued a communique pertaining to the sale of carpets and footwear displaying the Sri Lankan national flag and was made available for sale on Amazon. The communique says that the embassy took action on Friday to inform the Amazon head office in Seattle in Washington that the government of Sri Lanka strongly protests their use of the image of the national flag for commercial or decorative purposes. Further, it also says that it was noted that this was also a violation of the intellectual property rights of the government of Sri Lanka. What's more, the embassy had requested the Amazon company to remove the merchandise concerned from e-commerce platforms with immediate effect. The embassy has also taken steps to inform the situation to the U.S. Department of Commerce, Office of the U.S. Trade Representative, and the relevant section of the U.S. Department of State. The embassy notes that it is monitoring developments on this matter and expects to take necessary action to engage with the Amazon company and relevant U.S. government authorities with a view to discontinue the trading respective products online. We will see you shortly. Bear with us. Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, the swap agreement made by the Sri Lankan government with China is expected to improve buying interest at the Colombo bourse in the trading week, starting from tomorrow, as it boosts the investor confidence. On the whole, a positive outlook is expected at the stock market during the week. The all-share price index ended 0.48% higher last Friday, while the S&P SL20 index of more liquid stocks too ended in green with a gain of 0.89% to end at 2,893.44. Now here's Dimantha Matthew to tell us exactly what to expect at the Colombo Stock Exchange during the week ahead.
In the upcoming week, with the positivity of the Chinese swap agreement that the government has entered into, that has given some positive momentum for the market and given some confidence levels for the investors. So with that, we are likely to see further buying interest coming into the market, extending from what we saw on Friday. So we are expecting the market to be overall in the green in the upcoming week, and especially retail activity is likely to start improving. Already we feel that buying interest is likely to come mainly into the capital goods sector and also into the banking sector, which are likely to have positive earnings in the upcoming quarters. So we are likely to see overall a positive outlook, more activity and a more positive momentum in the upcoming week.
And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.